But I'm not going to say that In Time is like a really good movie or anything.
I hope not.
But for films that have an incredibly radical left-leaning agenda, I kind of liked it.
You know what? There was something that told me like he's going to say that.
I did. I admit it. People who listen to me know that I tend to be kind of a radical view, left-leaning agenda guy myself, and this film spoke to me in that sense.
Okay, well, while it spoke to you, it spoke to me while beating me over the head with a big ass hammer.
No, you're not kidding.
I mean, even
it's not a subtext.
Yeah, that's the thing.
text.
Like there was a point where I was like, okay, like all great sci-fi films, it has social commentary. But there was and social commentary I agree with. But there came a point early on where I was like, all right, enough, you guys. You know what? The Occupy Wall Street guys are subtle compared to this.
It's funny, though, because this is from Andrew Niccol, who's known for doing movies that are like this, where the social commentary in it is nowhere near subtle, where it's like, look, the social commentary is not a subtext. It is the film in and of itself, and you're supposed to like look at it as a analysis of current situations, couched in a sci-fi metaphor like Gattaca. There's one which like not even mildly subtle about what that film's talking about. The Truman Show. He was the writer of that. There's another one, Simone. Not a terribly good movie, but definitely one that was wearing its politics right there. Lord of War. Another one.
Okay.
Yeah. See, this is a guy who's like actually proven to be, if not a master at it, certainly pretty good at it, and in an acceptable way. He's made a series of films that are like, well, that's not a bad little history. Now,
I know. I sure wish this could have been one of those.
Well, see, the thing is, I feel like it's the weakest of his films, but at the same time, it's got enough fun to it, and like I said, from someone who does lean that way heavily already, I like seeing a film that's just like, look, enough of this pussyfooting bullshit. Let's just say it. You fucking like rich people suck. But
newsflash! Wow, I didn't realize that.
No, in detail and say here's why and here's what's going wrong. Anyway, let's just talk about what the story is here. Now, this stars Justin Timberlake, who is playing Will Salas, who lives in kind of the ghetto of the
ghetto,
city.
they call it. Yes, a ghetto of 25-year-old models.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's
I know why it's that way.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there.
But he lives with his mom, played by Olivia Wilde. Where you go, what? How can Olivia Wilde be playing his mom?
Now that's an Oedipus complex for your ass.
I know, right? I was like, you know what? I bet you this world has more incest than any other possible sci-fi world. Because what happened is somebody, and they never really get into the details, but there's a scientific advancement at some point where they figure out how to just stop aging altogether. Like, you just won't die from natural causes. Only violent death can take you out. But they say, well, look, we're going to get overpopulated, rightly so. We're going to get overpopulated, and it wouldn't work to let just everybody do it. So what happens is what you think would probably happen, is that capitalism rules the day, except here it becomes no longer about money. What they do is they just freeze everyone's aging at 25, which seems like a reasonable, that's a good age.
Okay.
You're like not quite, you lost the baby fat,
Okay.
You're an adult, but you're not showing wrinkles yet.
Right.
It seems like a good age.
You're still quite a dumbass, though, but go ahead.
I'll be damned if Cillian Murphy is 25, but okay, whatever.
Actually, most of the people in here, I'm like, you are not 25 years old.
They're like, I started late. But this clock activates in their arm that's constantly running that shows how much time they have left. And time is the currency of the day. People work jobs where at the end of the day, you hold your wrist over a scanner and it adds, the appropriate amount of time to your life. And if you run out of time, you die. That's it. There ain't no coming back.
Yes.
So Justin Timberlake is a guy, he's always got about a day left. He's constantly scrimping and saving. Yeah. So's his mom. They're always narrowly avoiding, death. And the area they live in is littered with fucking dead pretty people because they can't afford it. They just die. So what ends up happening is he meets a guy named Henry Hamilton, played by Matt Bomer, who has a century on his arm and is at this bar.
Oh, he's got like a millennium.
No. He's got a century at first.
Okay.
Yeah. You're confusing with later.
Okay.
But,
You're right.
He's got 100 years, 100 plus years, 110 years on his clock. He's showing anybody a look at this really ghetto ass bar, in the ghetto. And he's just giving drinks for everybody. And he's there making a spectacle of himself, and Justin Timberlake being, Justin Timberlake, he's
a good guy.
What are you going to do? Comes over and goes, look, man, this ain't cool. They're going to kill you. They're going to kill you and take your shit.
Yeah, that guy from Beastly, he's a British gangster
Yeah.
in Ohio.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I can't explain
Doesn't
it.
make any sense, but don't question it.
But him and his guys are going to fuck you up.
And sure enough, they show up and to just grab this guy and take all his shit, because for some reason whoever designed this system made it so people can just take your time at will. Instead of
the many things that I just okay, this is really ill-conceived, but go ahead.
Right, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. They can't program it so people don't, you have to agree to let someone take your time. But no, they can just grab your wrist and
just hold their wrist up to you and just take your time.
Just take your time.
It's like, wouldn't that just happen rampantly all over the place?
But you see, the metaphor for money wouldn't work unless we have it that way. Okay. So that's the problem. That's one of the issues that the film has with what, as you were saying, wow, this doesn't really work, because that you can't help but think, what the fuck? Who designed this shit? Well, you could say that about our system too, to be fair. So Justin Timberlake takes off with a guy. He grabs him. He's like, no, you don't understand. I don't want any help. He's like, too bad, because I can't leave you here to get killed. So they manage barely to get away, and the guy tells him, look, I just want to die. I've been alive for over 100 years, and I don't want to be alive anymore. This world sucks. Living sucks. I don't want to do it.
I thought I wanted to be a Highlander when I was a kid, and I changed my mind.
Yeah, so will you take my head off, please? No. So he's like, look, let's just go to sleep. We'll figure it out tomorrow. So they both pass out in this old warehouse they're hiding out, but in the middle of the night, the guy gives all his time to Justin Timberlake over 100 years, and then basically takes off to go kill himself. Now, the problem is that this world is so uncompassionate that the rich motherfuckers who rule it, and the time, what do they call them? Timekeepers?
Timekeepers, yeah.
Of which the head cop.
Yeah, Cillian Murphy is the leader of these timekeepers, at least in this area.
Yeah, at least in this area. It's implausible to them that anyone would just give their time away. Yeah. Like, they just can't. It's like that would. There's
nobody
no way.
gave you that time. You stole it.
You stole it. That's all there is to it. So they grab. They're chasing after this guy Timberlake, who's just pissed at everything because his mom has just died, because she barely ran out of time, because it's a typical situation where society itself is just so uncompassionate. Like, I'm going to die if you don't help me, and it won't take anything away from you to help me. They're like, yeah, well, how's that my problem?
Right.
He's mad, so he wants to fight his way to the rich sector.
Fight the powers that be.
And fight the powers that be. So he works his way with all his time in a kick-ass limousine, steps in there all class, immediately catches the eye of a hottie played by
Amanda Seyfried.
Amanda Seyfried, whose eyes are so far apart she should be dating Michael Shannon.
That girl does have some big, gigantic fish eyes.
Yes, she does. She's still hot.
Although I kept thinking it wasn't her. Maybe because she's got so much makeup on and a wig.
Yeah.
But she just seemed younger, almost like a high school girl in this. And it's weird because the role, like, it's another case of, like, here's an actress who I've seen do a lot of stuff, and yet here she's in a role where she barely has to stretch at all. It's like a role for a lesser actress.
It does seem that way, but it seems that way across the board kind of here.
Yeah.
But we'll definitely talk more about that here shortly. He's messing around in this world. He meets up with, like, a super rich guy whose name
He's the Weasley guy from Mad Men.
He is.
And Pete. What's his name? Vincent Kartheiser?
Yeah, he plays Angel's son, Connor, on the show Angel, which is one of my least favorite characters on that show as well.
Yeah.
So,
it's funny. I look at this kid, and I'm like, what is it about him that's so creepy?
Something about him is just wormy.
I think it's the mouth. Like, he has the kind of mouth, like, whenever they get people to play German, especially Nazis, there's something where they have these full lips that don't look right.
Yeah.
And he's got that going on.
Something about him is just off. Just off enough. But he's like this guy. He's like a billionaire of this time. Like, he's literally got, like, more time than he even knows what to do with. And Timberlake catches his eye by basically beating the shit out of him in poker. So now Timberlake's got like 1,000 years. Yeah. So I'm like, fuck it. Everything seems like it's going great, except you can't figure out what the hell his plan is supposed to be.
I know, right?
Until Cillian Murphy shows up and basically busts him, takes away almost all his time, and then it turns into a snatch and grab film.
Yeah.
Whereas Justin Timberlake barely gets away from all of them, but with barely any time left, while grabbing
Amanda Seyfried.
Why can't I remember her name today? Amanda Seyfried with him. him and they go on the run together as he slowly starts to convince her that like his way is the right way and here's what's wrong with society and you're just a spoiled little rich girl, you don't understand. And it turns into a Bonnie and Clyde.
Clyde. Yeah. You know what? If it had any balls, it would have gone Woody Harrelson.
Oh, Natural Born Killers.
Natural Born Killers.
See, I can't agree with you there. I think the last problem this movie has is not having any balls. I think it's got too much balls and not enough good sense. I think it wants so badly to really say so many angry things about society, things I largely agree with, and to set up an agenda of like, look, it's time to stop pussyfooting around. It's time to be really fucking violently mad about it. It's so interested in that it forgets to make sure that it crosses the T's and dots the I's along the way.
Well, you're right. It's too busy trying to make its statement to stop being stupid. And I hate to just come at it and say that, but there's just too many things about it that I can't use any other adjective than just dumb. It's like there's no explanation on how this world works. There's no real explanation on how it got to be this way with people having these things
you kind of got
implanted in their arm.
You got to take it for granted that it just all worked out that way.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, people just suddenly die on the street. Like, who does the sanitation on that?
Yeah.
This place would just be full of flies and disease.
No.
The way it's going.
They like just disappear and leave a minty green scent.
Right. There's so much about it that just the mechanics of it just they don't work. It's like I don't mean like you got to nitpick to find it. I mean like you can't help but trip over it because you keep going.